Righto guys, finally we've come to a point where we can put a video together of all the camera gear that we use. I know it's been a long time coming, but it's funny because we've been through so many different transitions and replacing things and getting new products. So we've had all the gear that we've had now for a long time, and we can now show you and tell you exactly why we love it and what's good about it. So I'll start at one end of the table and we'll work our way through. I'm going to get Shana to jump in at some stage towards the end, and she'll go through more of the technical stuff with like the camera and that's more her domain. But up the front here we've got our GoPros. Or GoPro I should say. We used to have two GoPros. We had two 7s originally, but now we have one 8 black. The thing while we're still with the GoPro is you just still get some of those unique shots where you can mount the camera underneath the car, or you can stick it to the side of the caravan, or you can throw it on the front of the roof or the front of the caravan. Like that, it is great for those sort of better different shots where you can't get with these style cameras. So we've always got the GoPro with us, but in saying that, we have the 8, there is a 9, I know there's a 9, but for the amount of use that we use it for, there's really no point, because there's really not that much different between say the 7, the 8 and the 9. There are little extras, but for us not using it every single day like we used to, there's no real point for us to go and upgrade that GoPro. But like any GoPro users, you always end up with a very big old bag of accessories, because GoPro is good for that. So we've got anything from like media mods to bar mounts. The bar mount's probably one of my more favorite ones, because that's the one I've mounted when we're up at the Cape underneath the car to get those sort of suspension shots and corrugations, and it gives you a whole new perspective. So yeah, there's a whole lot of sticky mounts and all sorts of stuff in there. There's no point going through it because everyone sort of knows what GoPro has. But if I had to pick one of my favorites, this was this little eBay special that we got. So this one is basically just like any other suction cap. So with this mount, there's 3 suction caps on it instead of just one. So in my opinion, you've got 3 chances to lose the damn thing. So we've used this quite a few times. It's done us well. For an eBay special, it's done pretty bloody well, I must admit. But yeah, so that's probably one of our favorite mounts, and the bar mount is one of my favorites as well. Also too, if you've seen some of our posts and underwater shots and us, more like Mataranka and those sort of clear water lagoons, you get all of us sort of swimming underneath the water. And if you're wondering why or how we're getting those shots, we found this bad boy online. Was it Telecine? I'll throw all the descriptions are going to be in the bottom of this video of all the brands and whatnot. But basically what it is, it's just a half dome, but it's a plastic dome. So on the back, you've got a GoPro mount that goes inside, very similar to sort of like your outer case that you'll normally get for a GoPro, and that just unclips. And then on the back, you've got this trigger. So this trigger is attached to an arm that actually pushes down where the GoPro would start recording. So it's not really necessary, but it's kind of cool at the same time. So you just be along and you click it and it starts recording, and you can do what you need to do. But the sort of, I don't know, the vision and the video footage that comes out of this is really, really cool. The thing about this is you can get some really cool shots where you can get sort of half out of the water, and then you can capture what's underneath the water all in one shot, which is really, really cool. So we've used this quite a few times, but I feel like we're going to use it even more going down this west coast, because we're going to be doing a lot of swimming and snorkeling and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, you'll probably see this a lot more in some of our upcoming episodes. Right, that's pretty much it for GoPro. Like I said, we used to have a lot of it, but we have downsized because we've now replaced it with the camera that we're recording with, which we'll get into very, very last of this episode. Moving on, drones. Right, this is by far the most asked about question that we get like weekly, and I mean literally weekly, is our drone. So first of all, from day dot, I've always had this drone, which is our go-to, and that is the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. So this thing, I don't know, I've been flying it so much now. I actually looked at my records, because it keeps all your records of your flight times, how many times you've flown, and I actually had a look there a few weeks ago, and I've flown it nearly 267 times. So out of 365 days of the year, I've flown it a hell of a lot. So yeah, practice makes perfect, they say. I feel like I'm getting better, but I don't know. I leave it up to you guys to tell me. But yeah, that's the Mavic 2. So it's one of the bigger ones on the market. It does come with a hell of a lot of features. I know there's the Mini Air 2 Pro, I think it's called, is the new one that's just come out. It's very similar to this. It's a bit lighter. It's got a few more features on top, but they're almost very, very similar. But at the same time, this does everything I've ever wanted to do, and there's really no point upgrading it. So if you've watched some of our latest episodes, you will realize that I did actually crash this for one of the first times in a long time, and it actually landed in the water. I was lucky enough to get it out of the water, dry it out for the day, and very luckily it started again. But since then we have DJI Care Refresh. So basically that's DJI's way of giving you an insurance policy. So you can have 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how much you want to spend, and your skill level, if you know you're going to probably crash it a couple of times. But you can basically get this drone replaced and get a whole brand new one. And I think at most you're probably paying $150 for a brand new one, which is awesome. So I'd highly recommend, if you're starting out, a lot of people go big straight off the bat and have no idea how to fly it, because these things can get quite quick and there's a lot of skill involved in it to try and get those shots. Because I guarantee every time you've flown a drone for the first time, you're going to crash it. Let's be honest, and I have met a lot of people who've done it. But in saying that, it's an awesome drone. Does everything I needed to do. I did get the Fly More package with it. So if you don't know what that is, it does come with an extra bag, but I've gotten rid of that now because we've got our own camera bag and it all fits in there now. You get 2 extra batteries. So when you buy the drone, you already get 1 with it. You get 2 more batteries with it. You get a few, I think there's another couple of bits of wings with it. Spare wings that go on top. And yeah, it allows you to film consistently. And it comes with a charger where you can charge 4 of these at any one time, which is even better, especially for us on the road, moving all the time, droning all the time. You only get a half an hour out of each battery. So that's what, an hour and a half of droning. If you want to keep going, you can take one out, put it straight on charger. We've got a setup in the back of the car that helps us charge all those batteries, and you can just literally consistently keep going and going, which is really cool. So that's it for this one. If you've seen some of our latest episodes, you'll know that we've upgraded another drone. So we've got 2 drones now. This is the FPV. So basically what this does, it has a gimbal on it to keep it nice and straight at any one time. The drone can be like this in wind, and that camera is still nice and steady and straight. Whereas this one here, it's a locked camera. So you've got that more fighter jet feel and like a plane. And when you're watching that footage, it's next level. But the thing about this is you have to have at least a good amount of experience under your belt. This is just my personal opinion, because this thing is off its head. It goes from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. You can be hovering there and then you just push up and it just goes boom, it's gone. And the sound that comes out of it is just unreal. So it is a whole new level of drone. If you're used to flying these and then you go to this, I'm still learning myself. It's going to take me quite a few months, I think, to get my head around it, and just it's a whole new way of flying. So basically with the FPV, it does come with the remote. It comes with these pretty cool nifty goggles that go straight over your head. There are 4 antennas that come on here, so you'll end up looking like a bug, which is pretty funny. But there is a lot more sort of involved to get it going in that. But in saying that, if you've got that skill set and you're really looking for those, really unique shots, it is pretty cool. So I'm hoping I can really get my head around it and get some really cool shots for you over the coming episodes, and we can sort of utilize these 2 drones together. So the good thing about these 2, you can get filters for them. So if you've done any sort of droning before and you're thinking, oh, that's really overexposed, or why is it not as clear as old mates that's posting up photos and stuff, sometimes it's because you can put filters over the top of these cameras. So for this one here, it's as simple as just twisting and popping it off and then doing the same to put it back on. This one is more of like a magnetic sort of style. So you just literally sit it over the top of the camera. But you could have a really bright afternoon day and it's just bulk sun. And if you didn't have a filter on there, everything will just look really white and overexposed. But if you chuck a filter on there, it takes all that out of it and it gives you a really, really crystal clear sort of vision. So we found that every time we use our Mavic 2, it's always predominantly during the day and in bright situations. So we've got an ND16 I think on there, so that's about the middle range. You got about an 8, a 16, a 32, and they get sort of really, really dark for those really bright sort of video footages. But with that, the 16, it literally just lives on the camera the whole time, because we always bring it out the same sort of time. It's always nice and bright. You don't have to think about, oh God, I bloody forgot the filter. It's just easy to leave it on for us for what we do. So that's the drones out of the way, that's GoPros out of the way. So I'm going to hand you over to Sian, and she's going to go through the technical side of all the camera and all the gear we use there. And then we're going to show you our last camera that we've been using all day, every day. And we'll wrap this video up. But just quickly, I don't know if you can hear them, but there is like an army of corellas. They have there must be thousands of them, and they keep going up and down this river where we pulled up. So I do apologize if you can hear them. I'm hoping that Sian can edit a bit of that out and we can only hear our guys. But yeah.
Hey guys, so I was going to pop in now and tell you about more this side of things and our day-to-day camera, because it's probably more my area, I guess. But camera-wise, we've got a DSLR Sony A6100. This is because the lady at the shop sold it to us, I guess. So, you know, we're not experts with cameras, but we wanted something where we could take some cool photos, but we can also use it for videography. And there are other brands out there that do mainly photography and ones that are just for videography, and this was a good half and half option. It's also got the option, if you can see this camera, you can actually watch yourself on it when you're filming. So with that easy adjustable screen, that was something that we liked at the time. Something else that we thought we might have needed would have been a flash. So this has a flash, but I hate it. I don't use it. So yeah, when we first got the camera, I didn't know much about apertures and shutters and, you know, all the technical things that you need to know, and I'm slowly learning them, and a flash is not good for good photography. So this comes with a 16 to 50mm lens, although it's not a total optical zoom. Part of it's a digital zoom. So to get close-up photos of something that's really far away, it's just impossible to do. So we ended up getting another lens. This is a Sony as well, and it is 55 to 210mm. This is a total optical zoom though, so you can get the really close-up photo of something that's quite far away. So that made all the difference for us. And with both of these lenses, we've got a UV filter on the front of them, and then we also have a polarized lens. So they're something you can take off. They're similar to what Chris was explaining with the drone, depending on what you're taking photos of. This helps when you're taking water photos and takes off the light in a photo, similar to if you wear polarized sunnies, that's what that does. And a UV, you know, I don't even really know what the UV does, but I was told to get one. And the good thing is if you scratch that, you're not scratching your original lens. It's a lot cheaper to replace that UV one than it would be to replace the whole lens. So from a charging point with this camera, we just have like a simple USB charger. We bought a couple of extra batteries as well. So no matter where we are, we never run out of batteries. They can be charged on 12 volt. And you might be wondering what it's sitting on. So this is a Ronin SC2. And the reason we got this is more for things like when we do the build series, or when we're doing, how would you explain that? Things that we've planned. So where we're doing pans of things, or, you know, and I want to be able to walk along and get a really smooth shot of something, you can actually hold this and it keeps it steady for you. So this is basically like a giant gimbal for your DSLR camera. They're not cheap, and we don't use it as much as what I thought we would, but when we do, it gives a really smooth, clear, just perfect shot. What I'll do, just to give you an idea, so if you've never seen one of these before, you can see at the moment, obviously it's all over the place. It's not holding what it wants to hold. When you turn it on, so that there, see how it'll keep the camera straight? That actually helps you get perfect shots. Whereas if you were to try and hold that camera by hand, it just wouldn't work. This big bag here is just storage for the Ronin. It's nothing else. It's quite big and bulky. It's definitely not something you need if you're just starting out, but when we've done some of our more advanced recording, it's something now that we tend to need on occasion. So don't stress too much about this unless you're really, really into the videography and you're already at that stage and considering it, then maybe consider it. But if you're new and you're going with the GoPro, don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap over the cameras. I'm going to pop the DSLR on the tripod, and then I'm going to show you our daily camera and show you our mic system as well, which you might have noticed we've been wearing today. All right, so this is our final item that we want to talk to you about, and this is the DJI Pocket 2. So we were looking at the DJI Pocket, and then we heard there was a 2 coming out, and we thought, oh, we'll go for the 2, we'll wait, and this is it. So it's actually a lot smaller than this. This is actually an add-on handle piece that you can buy. So normally it's only that big there, it's really little. And to be honest, I'm really glad we've got this extra piece. You almost need that just to be able to hold it and use it properly. But it's pretty simple. It's basically a much smaller version than that big gimbal that uses the DSLR camera, which, by the way, you're on the DSLR camera at the moment, so you'll be able to see the difference in footage. But if you can see as well, that's also got a gimbal on it. So that's how we managed to get our really smooth footage. This is with what you call hardware, I guess, to give you the smooth footage, whereas when you're using a GoPro, it's the software that gives you the smooth footage. So yeah, if you can see, you can actually see yourself on the screen. You can see what you're recording at any time. There's Chris behind the camera. You've got all your buttons there to use it. You can turn the camera around to face away from you or face towards you. There's front and rear microphones. There's a wind reduction setting. There's color settings here, so you can change the color. And it also has selfie mode, so it can recognize your face and follow your face along. So that's really good if you're recording by yourself. But if you've got 2 of you on screen, it's not so good, so we don't use that often. But overall, the footage from this camera is a little bit more like using a DSLR. Can you hear the birds? And it gives you that aperture effect where behind you is quite blurry, like what you would see in this photo, and what you're looking at is in focus. So that does this, whereas a GoPro, it's kind of more like a landscape image where everything's in focus. So this also comes with filters, but to be honest, we don't use them much, and that's because you can't actually store it away with the filter in there. So what happens is when you turn it off, it folds itself away, and the filter would have to fit in this tiny gap in here, and that just doesn't work. So yeah, we leave them off most of the time, and generally speaking, it's okay. So 128 gigabyte card in this doesn't last as long as when you use 128 gigabyte card in a GoPro. And I don't know if it's because it's slightly higher quality with the footage or what the go is there, but it does use a bit more power. It does use a bit more storage space. However, the footage is more like a camera. One of the only downfalls we've found with this camera in comparison to when we film with the GoPro all the time is that the battery in this is built in. So it has a battery in here, and this can actually extend the life of your battery along with other features when you look into it. So this is the do more handle, but you can't remove a battery. So if it's running out of battery, you have to charge it. So now we have to carry a portable charger around as well. So pretty much every time we get in the car, we plug this in on 12 volt to charge it up and make sure it's always full. But sometimes, like today, when we've done extended recording on this one, we'll actually just plug it in for the whole time. So it's just a USB-C, simple, plug it in, but then you're carrying around 2 items. So that's probably the only downfall. The other thing too, if you're looking at doing underwater shots, there is a piece you can put over this to make it waterproof, but you're limited with the gimbal and how much you can actually record on it. So when that happens, when we're in that situation, we just use the GoPro. So we have never put this in water and don't intend on it, and that's not what we've really bought it to do. The other thing I thought I'd mention to you is the case. So this is the case. So when you basically turn it off, it automatically folds itself away, and that just slides straight in there. So that's what it lives in, and that's what keeps it safe. After about 30 seconds, the gimbal goes loose and this all moves around, so it needs to be left in a case. But the other cool thing that comes on your case is this, which is a tripod. So this is like a little portable tripod that you've got at all times, which you can put on the bottom of your camera. So we use this quite often. Chris will do things where he puts it up on the bench when he's setting up the Ziggy, or you know, if he's doing something for the car, he will screw this in the bottom and set it up. And or if he's fishing, like he's been fishing here and he actually set it up as a tripod, so you can watch things from a steady place. And that's a really cool feature to have, but you don't have to have it on there either. If you're considering getting on the road and you want to do some videoing to begin with, you're probably going to want to start with a GoPro. That's the reason I say that. We started with a GoPro and there's nothing that it can't film. Whereas if you start with this, you're restricted as to what you can and can't do. The GoPro as well, you can take extra batteries, it's waterproof, it's an action camera, it's for inside, it's for outside. You don't have to think too much about sound, Whereas with this one, you need to think more about sound, you need to think about the quality of your image. There's so much to take into mind when you use this versus a GoPro. GoPro is turn on and go. So yeah, I would recommend in the beginning, starting with a GoPro.
Quickly, we thought we'd show you the bag too, that we put all our camera gear in, and we strap in our backs and take on our adventures with us. So basically it is a Lowepro, and the model of it is a Toei BP150. If that makes any sense. We didn't really look at what model it was, we just looked at what suited us. I'll put the details in the description below anyway. So I'll open it up and you can see we can fit a fair bit in here. So we've got our Mavic 2 drone, we've got the camera with the big lens on it, we've got the 2 batteries for the drone and the small lens for the camera. So we've got everything there we need. We've got our little charging pack for our Pocket. I've got the remote, and then we've got the GoPro extendable pole, and then on the top there we've got all our mounts, GoPro and bits and pieces. So we've literally got everything we need in a backpack. It's not too heavy considering how much is in there, but it's just handy to know that you can have it on your back and adventuring all the way through. So on the front we've got 2 pockets. So there's a small one at the front here. At the moment, I'll show you something about that later. But there's plenty of room in there, so you can fit all sorts of stuff. That's what our Pocket normally goes into. There's plenty of room in there, so that's a fair size cavity. So that's on the front. We normally leave lenses and all sorts of gear in there. And then there's another one just above it, which has even more storage again. So you got little pockets in the front there. I think that's for a tablet in the back, but we've just got, you know, filters for the camera. There's the filters for the drone, the Mavic 2. There's a few more charging bits for the drone and the controller and whatnot. So there's tons and tons of room here. We fit so much gear in here, and it's just super handy to have all that on you at any one time, so you're prepared for anything that happens. You probably noticed that we got 2 big things still left on the table. So basically for FPV, having a second drone, it doesn't come out all the time, whereas our Mavic 2 is more of a go-to. But when we need to bring the FPV, we normally put it in either another bag or just carry it with us because it's not for a long time. But that predominantly lives in the caravan in a storage compartment. So it's always there if we still need it, because we're always within the car or the caravan, wherever we're going. So it's handy to have that there. I've actually kept the actual base that comes with it too, because it just gives it a bit of protection inside that cavity if it does want to rock around on some of those rough roads and whatnot. The dome goes in there as well. I've pretty much got a whole dedicated. If you've seen some of our latest episodes, you'll know that I did a bit of a DIY job on my side of the bed with heaps of shelves and stuff. All this stuff, I don't know how I jimmied it, but everything fits like within millimeters. So I'm going to take it on board that I knew what I was doing. I really didn't. But that's where that all lives.
There is one last thing that I want to go through with you, but I don't want to touch it too much because I'll ruin your sound. But here, I've actually got a portable microphone on. So that is portable to the camera right now so that you can hear me. That also plugs into our DJI Pocket 2, so we can have portable microphones at any time. So a good example for when we use this, when we go on a tour, we ask the tour guide to put it on, so that way we get really good audio of what they're talking about. And it means that we can take that home and overlay that audio over some footage as well. So they're a really good mic set. There's actually 2 of them, so if Chris wants to come in. There's 2, so I'm wearing one and he's got one, and they're both wireless and they talk to each other and they talk to the camera. So he can be somewhere ages away. Do you want to go for a walk? Behind me somewhere? And right now you should be able to hear me clearly.
And then you can hear me all the way down here. That sounds like I'm right there next to you.
So it's really cool. But again, you've got to carry so much with you. So there's a receiver that's attached to the camera right now. And then we've also got our own 2 mics. And all 3 of these items need charging and can't be, there's no battery replacement. You need to charge them before you use them. So
yeah,
it's the only downfall with them. But otherwise they're great. That's been
probably the biggest transition. We've gone from GoPro to all this gear. All this gear gives you a lot more better quality, better filming, better sound, better everything. But then there's limitations as well, whereas a GoPro still does a really good job, but it's just so versatile for so many different things. So that's why we say GoPro is a really good starter if you're kicking off and doing something like this.
If you watched our series as well, you would have seen the whole, first probably 40 odd episodes, I think it is.
Easy,
it's all just with GoPro. It's GoPro, and that's all it is. So you can get a really good amount of footage out of that. It's only if you want to up your game that you should start thinking about these things, or if you can afford to as well, you know. It's only because this is now our job that we've done this. Otherwise we would have still used GoPros.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I've got a list of questions which you guys have asked us over time. I was going to get that up and so I can answer some of them for you. I'll just see what we have and haven't asked. So, oh, it's the parrots. You've talked about mounting accessories, hey?
Yeah, well, I've gone through my two favourites. Like, but it's the only mounts we got are for the GoPro. Everything else doesn't really have a mount. If you're talking about mounts for cameras, this would be classed as a mount. But there's not really, they're more tripod setups when you start getting into the bigger gear. We're actually filming right now on a tripod that I'll
get a picture of our tripod as well.
But we use that for predominantly like what we're doing right now. If we're talking to it, we need both of us in it. Or we could be, you know, sit it over in the corner there and watch us, you know, doing what we're doing.
A time lapse or something.
Yeah, it's handy for that sort of things. But then the GoPro again is different, whereas you got different mounts that you can stick them anywhere, just about everywhere you want. So, yeah, for me, the two mounts we use, I touched on at the beginning, was that suction cap one, and then there's a bar mount that you can adjust to different types of bars. So in there that comes off, goes around the bar, but then you can take this out, which is like a little rubber mount that makes it even bigger again. So it's quite versatile for all sorts of size bars. But if it's too big, there are other mounts you can get. There's like literally a mount for everything for GoPro. So if you need something or you think you can mount it to something, they've got it right there for you.
If you're just starting as well, another hint, obviously GoPro mounts are really expensive, the GoPro brand. There are heaps of options on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Grab some cheap ones. Yes, they break more. They're not as durable. They probably won't last you as long, but grab you can get like 219 piece set for 30 or 40 bucks.
You can get something that looks like that, and it's
of accessories.
It's full to the brim of stuff.
Find out what you use and then spend the money on the GoPro ones, and that's what we've done.
That's literally what we did. Yeah, we started with the cheap stuff and found out what we needed, and now we've got, well, this is the one that stood the test of time.
It's the only eBay one that we still have that loves.
Awesome. 3 chances to lose that bad boy.
It doesn't come off anything.
No.
All right, what's next? How do we charge our batteries? Well,
we can show you that, and I will touch on that. Well, do you want to bring the camera over? We'll do it real quick.
All right, cool. We'll bring the camera over.
All right, so when I was talking about the drones, the Fly More package, this is the charger that comes with it, because obviously you get more batteries. So this is what it comes with. It's quite compact when it's folded away, and then it folds out, and in each corner you've got where a battery would sit. So you can fit 4 batteries on there. So what this actually does is it'll pick the battery with the most power in it and start charging that one, not the one with the least amount, because it makes it more efficient. So that one will charge quicker because it's already, you know, higher than the others. So it's not going to go for the very lowest, it's going to go for the one that's probably about a quarter or maybe half. It'll start charging that, and it's half the time. So it's really quite handy for that sort of things. And the good thing about for us too, it's 12 volt. So a lot of them, well, the ones that do come with most of the drones are all 240. But the good thing about this size, or these Fly More packages, it does come with a 12 volt. So I can just chuck that straight into there. I normally set it up here, and I'll have my batteries up there charging. If it's not corrugated dirt roads and it's highway sort of driving, I just sit them in the back of there. I can actually shut the door while it's in there, and they can just charge until I get to the next location, and I've got full, you know, ready to go batteries.
While you're at it, can you put these on?
So this is the one for our big camera. So it's good timing, babe. We'll stick that in there, flick that on. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little flashing red light there now.
Thanks, babe.
So yeah, it's literally that easy. When we got that designed, we knew kind of roughly the gear we had, and try to compensate obviously for the amount of points that we needed. So yeah, 4 USB, 1 cigarette, does this all the time. There's never a point where it's like, oh God, I wish I had one more of these, or I wish I had an extra one of those. That's enough for us, and I think it would probably suit a hell of a lot of other people as well. But that's how we charge our batteries on the go. Obviously, we got in the van as well. There's a lot of USBs and cigarette lighter chargers in there. don't like really leaving camera bag in here with all our gear. We have learnt this lesson that batteries don't like heat, and we have been in some really hot places over the last few months, and we have cooked batteries before, so we don't like to leave them in here. So sometimes we'll take them out. If they do need charging, we'll put them in the caravan where it's nice and cool. You've either got the aircon going or the windows open, and yeah, so that's our charging situation.
So back at our handy table, a couple other questions that we've got. Drone regulations, that's a you question.
Drone regulations, I get asked a fair bit about this, and for good reason, because I was talking to a couple of people just recently saying, oh, how do you get into these restricted areas? I can't even fly my drone, it won't let me. Yes, there are circumstances where you cannot fly at all. There's a NFS, which is a no-fly zone. No, NFZ.
Yeah, NFZ. How's the spelling?
NFZ. Yeah. So no-fly zone. So basically, the only time that really comes up is if you're really close to a major airport or just an airport in general. The second stage of that is helipads. There's a lot of them around the country, but they're a lot more lenient. They normally just fly with caution. You know, keep an eye out if you hear something, try and get the drone down. But airports are the biggest one. So for us, our recent experience was Broome. It's a big international airport, and then pretty much it is smack bang in the middle of town. So there's nothing you can do anywhere around there. And
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, like this is just not going to happen. You have to go outside of town before you start using it, like we were at free camping. But to just break it down for you, when I've explained it before, it's like donuts. Like there's a small donut, a medium donut, and a big donut. So the closer you are to the airport, there's a ring around that, the closest bit, and that's normally the really red bit. And that's the no-go at all. That you won't even be able to get the drone up at most times. And then the middle one is sort of like very restricted, but you can still fly. And then the outer ring again is still fly with caution, but you can just about fly whenever you want. So with the DJI, I found if you are in those areas, you will get a message that comes up of saying restricted air zone or whatever it's saying there, and you can authorize that. But by authorizing that, you're putting in your details.
And becoming liable.
Yeah, and becoming a liable candidate if something does go wrong. They can trace you back to this drone because you've got an account, you've got your details, all that sort of stuff. It's just a safety thing, which makes sense, because if someone went up and did the wrong thing, took a plane out or something like that,
yeah,
like at least they got someone to, you know, point the finger at.
You know, something else I thought I'd mention about that too. So with national parks, there's so much confusion around national parks and where you can and where you can't fly. You just need to read up on the websites. You know, you can fly in a lot of national parks, but just read up about it first. And CASA, of course, you have to do the CASA regulations as well.
So CASA is basically like the whole, everything that's involved aviation-wise. And there are just general rules around droning, and it's obviously you can't film people, you can't do big areas where there's thousands of people hanging around and whatnot.
Here they go.
There's the Corellas.
Oh my God, they're all up.
I swear to God, there's like 1,000 plus everywhere.
I hope you can hear us.
Yeah. But yeah, so at the end of the day, if you're unsure, just Google it, research it, have a look at the park you might be staying in. But the best way I always find out is when I turn the drone on, because it will tell me straight away.
Yeah.
If you've got your controller in front of you and you've got your GPS down on the left-hand corner, you can click on that and it'll bring it up as a bigger screen, and it'll show you like all your sort of high-risk areas, no-fly zones, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers your question for you.
Bloody birds.
Tell you what.
So we've got like 3 questions left. So one of them is how we use our gear when we're walking, driving, swimming, etc. So if it's not in a mount, like when Chris is driving, it's usually me filming. But this, which is our daily camera, the angle you normally see us on, here, I'm going to record it actually so you can see. That's the angle you normally see us on. Hey.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's just me holding it in my arm. The last couple of questions. So we got asked, have we done any photography or video editing courses?
I wouldn't say courses.
No.
I'd say
YouTubing.
The closest thing we've got to anything like that is just doing it.
Well, and YouTubing. I watch a lot of things on YouTube. If I don't know how to do it, I'm like, oh, how's this work? And then watch it.
Yeah.
And then try it for myself and fix it to get it right. But
definitely no courses.
Yeah.
Ever.
From a video editing perspective, again, Google. I've learned everything through Google, but I also didn't start where I am now. So I've been doing video editing for a long time, but self-taught.
Yeah. So
the last question on here is, how long does editing take? And I wanted to fill you in a little bit about editing anyway. So this is the editing section. So to make a movie, an episode, I should say, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and I use Media Encoder. I use Adobe After Effects. I use Illustrator, and I use Photoshop. So all of those programs put together make our episodes. A typical episode can take me 4 or 5 hours or 10 or 12. It really depends on how long the episode is and the content as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes like this is really easy because it's just one scene, one color, one sound, one everything.
There's
so
not much
what
happening. There's not much changing. There's not much movement.
But what I edit on one portion of the footage is the same for the other portion of the footage at the end of the episode because it's not changed. So this to me is an easy one to make. However, if you look at like an El Questro episode, a couple of our latest El Questros, those ones took me like probably 10 hours, I'd say, for one episode. And that's also because they go over that half an hour mark. So half an hour is usually really easy to do. Anything over that, it starts to become hard work. But I love it still. I do love it. So from an editing perspective as well, I try and get time out. I go to the library. I'll sit down at the library and do it by myself. Or like at the moment when we're free camping, I'll be inside and Chris is outside with the kids. And they just kind of spend their day together, or they'll go out and they'll leave me at the van because it's just impossible to do it when they're around.
Well, you need that focus, and
I can't do it.
It's like, I'm in it, I'm sitting down here for 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to go through
it.
Jaden
knows. Jaden knows I'm editing, and still she's like, Mum. I'm like,
can I have this?
Oh my God. And then I got to find where I was and start again. So it's just easier to be alone.
Just bugger off the day, take the kids out, go for a drive, go for a walk. We're always finding something to do.
So from a headphone perspective, I used to have Marley XL. Prior to that, I had my Apple EarPods actually, and prior to that I used to just use it through the speakers in the computer. And obviously that's how I've learned that my audio meant more than it actually did, is just by error. You guys have said that bit was really crap, and I'm like, yeah, it was. How do I fix this? So the latest pair of headphones I've got now are Sennheiser PX2, I believe is the model number. I'll put it down the bottom if it's wrong. So they do noise cancellation. They give you like real sound. You can hear things at higher decibels than 0 without it distorting. There's so many good things about them. They have like changed my world. So I love my new headphones. They cost a lot, but they're really, really good. So yeah, that's my new special treat, I guess. Computer wise, I use a MacBook Pro 16-inch. I upgraded the RAM. I've upgraded the memory. It's not the one you buy off the counter anymore. It was a couple more $1,000s more than that, because it's one thing. It's one thing to edit photos, to do photos on pretty much any computer with Photoshop and Illustrator and that's fine. But if you need to edit something which is a moving video, especially if you're videoing in 2.7 or 4K, which is the quality of the film, the computer just can't keep up. My old computer used to like shut down, so that's why we had to upgrade. I used to have a MacBook Air, and it just didn't cope.
And this is why just what you're saying there too is good for you guys, because we have gone the bigger laptop and we have gone the better, headphones,
but we've
upgraded because we have started at the bottom and we've worked our way up, and we've now got to a point where we've learnt so much about how things work, what it sounds like, what it looks like,
how it affects the other part, and
it's good. I've always said it doesn't matter what you do. If you can start from the bottom, you're going to learn more down there than you are going to learn right at the top.
Because you have to make the mistakes, and the best way to learn is from your mistakes. So
100%.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out and buy all of this gear, but if you don't know what to do with it, it's no benefit. So definitely start with a GoPro
and everything else. It's useless.
Do you know what? Thinking about it, there's one other question that we also get is, people say, what is the secret? How did you crack YouTube? Can you give me advice? How do I start my own channel? That comes up a lot.
It's been coming up a fair bit lately.
Yeah, especially this year. So 2021 is the year for the caravanner and young families as well. Like every caravan company. you know,
wanting to make YouTube, doing Instagram,
Yeah.
doing the Facebook style, like, go for it, guys. Like, the world's your oyster. But we've been asked, what's the secret? At the end of the day, there is literally no secret.
there is no secret.
People are going to watch what they want to watch. If it's good content, they're going to watch it.
If it's not good content, they might not watch it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
For us, we
but
didn't even know what was going to happen.
we had a budget for that first year, and we were totally prepared to spend savings to go and do a lap of Australia and make a YouTube channel so we could show family and friends.
Yeah.
We thought, oh, you know, we might make $50 out of YouTube, and that's going to pay for like a pub Sunday sesh, which is very typical of us. Like that's,
Yeah.
we used to collect the recycling cans at home until we got to like enough that we knew we could have a pub Sunday and go and spend it on a pub Sunday
Yeah.
out. YouTube was going to be the same for us. So
it wasn't our goal. It wasn't our let's start YouTube to make, you know, an income for the rest of our lives.
I think if you
It
go
never started
out,
that way.
if you go out with the intention
It's
of
gonna-
earning money
yeah.
from YouTube and getting sponsors and doing those things, it might not work for you. If you go out and just rock at what you do and people love watching it and there's natural growth there without you helping it along, sponsors will find you. You know, you'll learn what camera gear you need. You'll learn those things as you go along. Don't expect it to happen, but it will happen if you make good content, and don't expect it. You know,
Yeah.
how else to explain that? It's
Well,
like hard to explain.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's, if you love what
There's
you
no
do,
secret.
Ooh. If you love what you do and you're doing it well, that's good content.
Yeah,
That's what people are going to see, and it comes across on the screen like that.
yeah.
I think that's why we've done quite well, is because we're so natural, we're so just honest, and if you've met us before, you know this is exactly how we are. We
what
like
you
this
see
all
is
the
what
time.
you get.
Like, we're not putting on a show. We're not trying to, you know, make things look bigger and better than what they actually are. We just show you what it is.
We burnt a pork roast and showed you I burnt one.
Yeah, well, like most people would probably
He
cut
was
that
so
out.
devastated.
I was a bit sad,
But
but
yeah,
things happen, eh?
just things go wrong. Things are
But-
good. Things are bad. I think.
I think the
yeah.
biggest thing is don't try too hard,
Yeah,
or just
just do what you're good at.
don't
and show
try
people.
and go for that, you know, 100k subscribers, or don't look for a big income for the first year, because it's probably not going to happen, because you're coming across almost not real and a bit fake, because you're just trying to make it look organic, when if you just started off being organic and being natural,
You don't have to change
don't have to
anything.
try. There's
you don't
no-
have to
there's no
try.
trying, yeah.
So what we do, obviously we have to find time when Jack's asleep and stuff to do some of these videos and that. But apart from finding the time, sometimes with the kids, what you see is what you get, and you should be able to get behind the camera and be exactly you, and people love it. You know, like there's no secret. Sorry, guys.
no.
The secret is to hop onto YouTube, make an account, get your own name, get an Instagram, and start putting content out there.
Yeah.
And if people love
Just
it,
start taking
it's just going
photos
to
of
go.
things that you love
Yeah.
seeing, or if you love your fishing, show the fish you've caught or where you went fishing. Like, just show the stuff that you love. Don't worry about what people want to see. Show them what you're doing, and then the world's your oyster, honestly.
People tell you if they want to see something different or if they don't like it. We get feedback sometimes when audio, perfect example. People tell me when audio is bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I've destroyed this episode because of the audio, but then I improve it. And then I get told, oh, you improved it. That's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
Or people tell you, you know, can you do more drones? So we try and put more drone in, and then people compliment the droning, you know?
Yeah.
So do what your audience is telling you, but it takes a while to build the audience. That's all.
Yeah. Everything good takes time. It's
Yeah.
part of life, and this is no different.
But anyway,
Right,
I reckon that about wraps it up, eh?
I really hope you heard everything that we said, versus the Corellas, the hundreds of them, the thousands of them. But if there's any more questions, again, in the comments below, throw them in there. I'd like to be able to do maybe another Q&A at some stage and catch up on a few of these frequently asked questions, because
I've got another list.
there's hundreds of thousands of questions, and for us, we like to try and get back to you and tell you everything you need, because it could be that one little answer that changes everything for you going forward and doing what you wanted to do, or I'm glad they told me about this because I'm not going to buy that now, sort of thing. So it's really helpful.
Yeah.
We've been there and we've done it for a while now, so yeah.
If you're out on the road and there's a chance you're going to see us, come and say hey, come and meet us. You know, we're always willing for a chat.
Always.
But if you're at home and you're on your sofa and we're not going to see you out there, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, drop us a comment if there's something that you want to know, And until the next one, we'll catch you then.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next episode, guys.
We stay at Cygnet Bay Pearl Farm and learn about how this 3-generation Australian business farm pearls, and even watch one taken from the shell. We check out their tours and see the waterfall reef and the giant tides and whirlpools in the area. This place should not be missed.